Cool people at Safari Pedals asked me to check out the Gorilla Drive pedal Santa edition, so let's dive in. The Gorilla Drive pedal is a plug-in version of a drive pedal intended to add grit and body and warmth to various tracks throughout your entire session. So I'm going to dive in and see what the plugin can do. These are just kind of going to be my first impressions here. Full disclosure, they did send me the plugin to take a look at it. However, all thoughts and opinions are still my own. Okay, so I've got a sample session here. Let me just play you like the general vibe of the track so you can get an idea of what it sounds like. Like an indie rock thing, and I'm just going to throw this plugin on some tracks and see what it does. So I have a bass guitar here, which we're going to start with. It sounds like this. So I already have a fuzz bass guitar track. I'm going to remove the BOD TSE plugin off of it and throw the Gorilla Drive plugin on and see what that does. Okay, here's the plugin. Looks like there's input, output, a bypass feature, tone, and phase. There's also quite a few presets, so we might have to mess around with some of that. So here's the fuzz track. This would just be the DI then. So let's enable the plugin here. So we can see that tone knob does a lot of work. You can even flip the phase here, it looks like at the end. And then bypass. Turns it on and off. Let's up the input a little bit into the pedal. So that adds a lot of spank to it. Let me turn the tone all the way down. Nice, adding some grit and drive. Let's compare that to the BOD. Let's check out some of the presets. Bass, low, and parallel thing. Let's see what that does. Oh, nice. There's a little blend control at the bottom there. So we got guitar saturation. And what else we got here? Holiday bass poppy. That is a nice little warm drive that I like that it adds to the bass guitar. So this pedal is, I would say, a little bit on the subtle side, but I think it does a good job at just giving a nice little warm boost to something and not doing anything too crazy. It's not a decapitator. It's not trying to destroy the sound, but adding a nice subtle drive, I think, does a lot. Let's go to the electric guitars here. Let's throw the plugin on now, the Gorilla Drive. So you can see it does quite a bit with the guitars, and this is before, like, we've even hit, or this is after the amp, I should say. What does it do with guitar sweetener? So that does add a lot of drive and grit to it, kind of cool. So that tone knob does have a pretty big effect on what kind of sound you get. Pretty cool. Let's do the warm holiday guitars. Let's try putting this before because maybe that's the proper way to do it. Let's put this before the amp. So Gorilla Drive, that's the bass guitar. For the electric guitar, let's put it before we go into the overloud bypass. Let's go ahead and bypass them. Yeah, it does add a nice little edge to some of the guitars there. Very cool, very subtle, but I think it's a great option for you if you're looking to add some grit and saturation to your tracks. And just a little bit of drive. And I do like the warmer sound of this version of the plugin. Let's see what it does with like acoustic guitars. That brings a lot of life to the acoustics. Very, very interesting. Let's we'll go to the drums later, but let's try 808 on Fire. Ape crazy vocals. I did like the brightness and sheen that adds to it. It adds like some nice noise and high end to the acoustics. Very, very cool. That's an interesting vibe. And I don't even know if it's intended for acoustic guitars, but I like how it works on this thing. Let's see what about the synth tracks. Let's throw it on here. Let's try it. Let's try another preset. Let's see, what do we got here? Sweet keys. Yeah, that adds a nice little warm texture to the whole thing. Very, very cool. Kind of vintage sounding. Fits in with the Christmas theme there. Nice. Let's try something else. Let's see. Wild Christmas drums. Let's see. Ape crazy vocals. We can blend it back. I did like the Sweet Keys preset quite a bit. Very subtle. You know, applying a plugin like this subtly across your tracks can help give everything a little bit of an edge and a color in what is an otherwise kind of sterile digital environment. So an interesting approach there. Let's go to the vocal. Let's see if there's some presets I can throw on there. I've already got some plugins on this vocal, but I want to see just before the limiter what I can add to this thing to maybe give the vocal a little bit of juice.
We were young and always looking up and passing out up in the parking lot. And those were the nights that always come and gone, my dear, my dear.
I really liked the life and presence this just added to that vocal. Let me bypass it.
We were young and always looking up.
Obviously, it adds some volume. So let me take the output down.
We were young and always looking up and passing out up in the parking lot. And those were the nights that always come and gone. I
think what I'm loving is this tone knob because it's almost like a tilt EQ feature. It just like gave it a sheen of brightness across the vocal, but wasn't too, scratchy or wasn't too piercing.
We were young and always looking up and passing out up in the park.
Because I'm constantly in a situation where I either want to darken or brighten tracks, but I don't want to use traditional EQ. I kind of just want to tilt the whole thing. And I know there's tilt EQ plugins, but this one does it in a kind of very natural way that I do like.
We were young and always looking up and passing out up in.
Like if I wanted a warmer vocal sound.
We were young and always looking up.
It's a very pleasing warmth. It's not like boosting the low end a ton and making it super muddy. It's just kind of rounding it out in a nice way. Very interesting.
We were young and always looking up and passing out up in the parking lot.
Very interesting. Let's go to a drum track real quick here. I've got my Superior drummer drums. Let's throw on something and see what it can do to the drums. So you can see there's like a tom fill there. Let's add the Gorilla Drive. Let's pick out a preset. We've got, what do we got here? We got wild bass drum. Let's do wild Christmas drums. Nice, adds a little saturation to it. Very cool. I do love this blend knob because I could find myself using this plugin to subtly blend in a little saturation with the drums just to give it a little bit of life because it is a bit sterile on its own. They do sound a bit too much like MIDI drums, but I added this in and it gives it a little bit of flavor and vibe. Wild and Ape on drums. Let's see what that does. Okay, that's just insane and ridiculous, but very cool. Messing with those input and output knobs definitely can give it a bit of a vibe. Let's try one last preset. Fat Gorilla drums. I could definitely see throwing this on a tom section or a snare drum to give it a bit of fatness and drive, especially if you're using some MIDI drums. So very interesting plugins from the guys at Safari Pedals, and I gotta say for the prices, a very inexpensive plugin. It might be worth getting if you're looking to add some different saturation options to your track. Will this plugin make or break your mixes? No, I don't think so. And there's other plugins that can do its purposes, but I would say it does a few things, only a few things, but I think it does them well. And I think that I actually will include this in my workflow. I wasn't sure at the beginning of reviewing the plugin, but I really loved how it colored the vocal. Just adding a little bit of brightness or tilt with the high end knob, and then it really kind of shined on drum tracks as well, which maybe were more of the intentions for the plugin. So I do like it able to do that. I think I will throw it on to tilt my vocals, as that's something I'm constantly struggling with. Is the vocal too top and heavy? Is it too muddy? Being able to throw something on that like that without changing what the vocal sounds like, but just making it darker or quieter, that's pretty invaluable for me, and it's something I will be using in the future. Adding a little life to my MIDI drums by just adding a slight bit of drive that works. I haven't found a plugin that does it to the same pleasing degree, so I'll give some credit there. Some of the cons I would say is it's not going to be like a Sans amp in a way. Maybe if you mess with the input and output, you could get it something like that, but I couldn't find it to get that exact sort of sound. So it's not going to be like a one, end all be all for your bass guitar or electric guitars or something like that. It's there to color your tracks, it's there to add some tone and some grit, and it does that purpose well. So I hope this video was helpful. If you would like to check out this plugin, I left a link in the description down below. If you found this review helpful, please like and subscribe to the channel so you can see my future videos, and check out all of my free guides and courses in the link down below. Thank you so much for watching. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time.